Hey everyone, and welcome. I am Morgan Gis McDonald, founder, CEO of Paper Raven Books, and I have with us today a super special guest who's talking about a brand new book. And if you enjoy a book that is about a coming of age young woman, courageous, sort of restarting life, and maybe even being open to finding new love in a new city. And even better, it's the first in a series, then you are going to want to stay tuned, hang tight, and listen to this interview because we are talking to the author. And the author is, into not only writing, but art and language, and has studied in Italy and really appreciates sort of the classics and, Michelangelo, Botticelli, Dante, Shakespeare, Austen. So if you are the type of person who appreciates the classic art and literature, then you'll be very excited to get to know this author and her work. I am speaking with Anna Lurex. Anna, thank you for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
We are so excited to have you, especially because this book really has both inspiration for this courageous young woman who we're going to get to know in Lithium, as well as some deeper themes that are just so relevant for kind of, our younger population, our young adults, and people who are kind of coming into their own, as adults. And so I'd love for you to kind of introduce us. Who do we get to meet at the beginning of Lithium?
Well, right away you meet Mia, Amelia Bell. She's on a plane going from Minneapolis to San Francisco. And so she's emerging from a kind of a dark past 4 years. She has bipolar disorder. So she's making this leap to a new life with a lot of hope for happiness. We have Jax, kind of the love interest in this book. He takes a liking to Mia, has a hard time of showing it, but becomes more drawn to her as they spend time together, and her to him. And we have Ozzie, Mia's best friend, who is a support to her throughout the whole book.
So I love that you set us up like right from the very beginning. Mia is on a plane. She's going to San Francisco, and especially with kind of your background in art and all that sort of thing. Can you give us a little insight into kind of what she's hoping her new life in San Francisco looks like?
Yeah, she is hoping to be a very successful artist. She's joining a group of young artists all in kind of a band together that was put together by Jax, who includes him, Ozzie, Mia, Steven, and Nick, and they all have their own strengths. So she's really hopeful that she can bring her own to the table and impress everybody and start a new life as an artist.
That's so cool because I think a lot of what we encourage folks who are maybe going to college or maybe even thinking about just exploring art as a career, it can be a little bit like intimidating to think about, like, what does it even mean to sort of be an artist? And so you get to explore this cool way in which people could actually collaborate and grow this sort of art group together. So it's a really fun setting for them to be in. And you already alluded to it, but Mia's past is not exactly simple, especially because she has struggled with bipolar disorder. Could you kind of give us some insight into what that ends up looking like for Mia?
So she's 24 and she was diagnosed when she was 20. So she's been for the past 4 years dealing with mania and depression, along with day-to-day stressors with having to cope and maintain her stability, as well as stigma. She's been very much hiding for the past 4 years because the stigma around bipolar is very real. And the media shows bipolar as just crazy people, and people believe that. So that's what she's been struggling with. But she's very hopeful. It's not getting her down.
Yeah. And she meets Jax, and you kind of mentioned like Jax is kind of interested in her. Like, what is that dynamic that we'll get to see Mia and Jax going through in Lithium?
Well, they kind of butt heads in the beginning. They have a very awkward introduction. And really, it's just them getting to know each other, becoming more drawn together. It's very much Mia being afraid of him finding out that she's bipolar. She has a bad history with men. Mania makes her very vulnerable. And so in her past, she's had some sexual trauma. So that also scares her. She doesn't really feel desire or like kind of want for that until she meets Jax. So that's also kind of freaking her out a bit because she doesn't know how to handle it.
Yeah. So you're setting up that tension for us. And it's like, how can she even like resolve this? And I mean, we have this, the relationship tension back and forth with Jax and Mia. And also Ozzie is there. There's a great sort of theme of friendship and support that runs through Lithium as well. How does Ozzie continue to kind of show up for Mia?
Just him being very aware. She's very open with him. She's told him everything. She's very comfortable with him, and he's very aware of her hardships, and he makes sure he's always there for her. So that's what we see.
The faithful sidekick.
Yeah.
Unconditional friendship. And I'm curious, Anna, from your perspective, this book has a lot of, I don't want to say heavy, but like themes that are really important for folks to talk about. And one of them is sort of mental health. And I'm curious kind of what called you or drew you to write about mental health in this in this kind of overt way in Lithium.
Well, first I was writing just for myself. So that's kind of what got me to be very raw and even vulnerable for myself because I'm speaking a lot from my own past and my own experiences. So I think that's kind of what makes it so great is I wrote for myself and that made it very like, yeah, like I said, kind of like raw and true. And yeah.
Well, and thank you for, mentioning that it does, draw from your own personal experiences. I know that's often not easy as an author to share these pieces of ourselves. But why did you end up sort of publishing it? Do you remember if there was something that you hoped the book might do for folks once it was out and published?
Yeah, fight the stigma completely. I have a lot of experience with that because I've been bipolar for 8 years. And I've had some, like, even if it's just talking to some girls, they'll be like, oh my God, she's such a bitch. She's bipolar. And I'm just like, no, that's not right. That doesn't have anything to do with a mood disorder. And, a woman once told me having a bipolar mother is means to call child services. And another time, a guy told me he found out his girlfriend is bipolar. So he left because he doesn't want her to kill him, which is very wrong. People with bipolar and mental illness in general are more likely to be victims than aggressors because they're so vulnerable. So just all of this like piling up and piling up, it's been really oppressive to me. But writing this book, I feel is so strong that I'm comfortable with like accepting myself and like letting people know, yes, I have bipolar and I am trying to fight the stigma.
That is so powerful. Well, I mean, thank you again for sharing that with us. I think there's so many folks who, you're right, they either have just a wrong assumption about what it means to be bipolar, or they just never really thought about asking, what does it mean to be bipolar? We accept, the different like movies and TV shows that have these representations, and we never stop to think about like, what does it actually mean? And what are these, false characterizations? What does this do for people who actually have bipolar or really a lot of these, related mood disorders? It's like, well, we don't really know what that's like for people. So the fact that you kind of bring us into Mia's inner world and show us kind of who she is, just really powerful for maybe those of us who, I don't currently have like a bipolar disorder, so I'm just like us in a more general way, but like it helps us to accept ourselves, for whatever issues we're struggling with, and it helps us to be more empathetic to people maybe that we know and love, and maybe those people are scared to say anything, but maybe we're going to open up that conversation for us, which is just so powerful. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, I kind of like to think that this book is for almost anybody because it can be educational for people who don't know about mental illness. And it can also be maybe comforting and relatable for some people who do have bipolar or just mental illness.
So good. Thank you. Well, folks, if you're listening and you're like, this sounds like my kind of book, there's the, coming of age, story of adventure, young, courageous woman starting a new life. Also the romantic subplots with Jax, and also this like deeper conversation about what does it mean to have bipolar or mood disorder, or have that sort of vulnerability and not wanting to share a stigma. All of that wrapped up inside of Lithium. And again, it's the first in the series. So you can go ahead and dive into the series and get to know Mia and Jax and Ozzie. And you can do that by going to Amazon right now. You can go to paperravenbooks.com/lithium. That will take you straight over to Amazon. You can grab the ebook. It's on promotion right now, and you can download it on your Kindle, get it ready for the weekend. If you prefer the physical version, you can also grab that paperback and have your copy on your nightstand if you prefer that too. But either way, whichever version of the book you want, you can just head over to paperravenbooks.com/lithium. That is linked next to this video, and that'll take you straight to Amazon to get your copy of the book. So we encourage you to go ahead and do that while you're here and while you're thinking about it. And Anna, I'm curious, is there any message or anything you'd like to leave with readers as they're thinking about diving into Lithium?
Just be open to learning. I don't know. Enjoy the romantic fiction side of it and learn from the mental health side of it, because those two really, it's Mia's journey with a romance and it's her journey with her mental illness, and they kind of go together. So just like enjoy.
Perfect. Amazing. Well, thank you guys. And also, if you know anyone who would be interested in this kind of book, if they love that romance side, if you think they might appreciate getting to know Mia and her, journey with accepting and loving herself through mental illness and the challenges that she's facing, or maybe you just know someone who loves a great book and this one's on promotion and maybe they would like to grab a copy, you can share this with them. You can tag them in this post. You can share this video with them, and I'm sure they would love to dive into Lithium also. So go to paperravenbooks.com/lithium, grab your copy, get it all loaded up, and we hope that you enjoy. Thank you, Anna, for being here.
Thank you.
And we will see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.